To have Kristen over here. She's a mortgage lender with Cross Country Mortgage. So I'm super excited to kind of go over a few things, a few topics that's essential for the home buying process. So, Kristen, how you been?
Good. How about you?
Busy, just staying
Yes.
busy.
Almost Thanksgiving.
I know. Are you guys cooking tonight or
Tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this topic it's going to be for, why pick the right lender, right? It's super important. Especially if you're going through like one of the biggest transactions in your life, you want someone that's very reliable. And why picking the right lender is crucial, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, Kristen, have you ever seen a situation where a slight difference, like what's the difference of um trying, navigating through picking who, the right lender
The
is for
right
you.
lender. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like having the right lender is having a good lender is really crucial in the home buying process because like you said, it's the biggest purchase that most people are going to make in their entire life. A lot of people, whether you've purchased before or you haven't, you still want someone that is knowledgeable, that knows about the different products and programs out there, so that you as the buyer are getting into a program or a product that best fits your needs, that is tailored to kind of like what you're looking for. And it just someone that's going to have your best interest in mind. So a good lender is going to look at every option and kind of be able to push you in the right direction as far as like, hey, this kind of meets what you're looking for. This will save you the most money. This one has the lowest interest rate. Just the things that are important to you as a buyer. So I think like having a good lender is really, really crucial when it comes to buying a house.
100%. And if you could describe the perfect lender, and I know you are one, how would you describe the perfect lender in 3 words?
I would say someone that's honest, someone that's available, and a good communicator. I know it's 4 words, but I would say like communication, availability, someone that's honest. Those are like really important when it comes to picking a lender.
I like that. No, definitely, especially when you need, information right away. It's definitely great to hear back same day, instead of, oh, okay, tomorrow, or
Yeah.
keep you
And
in.
even with like the communication side, it kind of goes into that one too, like the availability. If you have a good lender, they will be on top of communication and be communicating ahead of time, so that the availability piece, like, yes, it's important, but when you have the communication, I've found that, like, so for me, for example, like we'll do weekly updates every single Wednesday, even if there is no update. Or if I know something is coming up, then I'm communicating that to not only the buyer, but both agents, the title company, so that everyone's on the same page. So I think communication kind of solves a lot of the problems that come. So if you have a lender that is good at communication, that's communicating ahead of time throughout the process, like it's really, really helpful.
I like that. No, you hear that a lot, but it's like, you do putting it in action is another thing. So,
Yeah.
so have you ever seen, okay, we'll go to a scenario. I'd like to hear a story. Have you ever seen a situation where even like a slight difference of interest rate, made a huge impact to your client's, loan? And, how did that go? How's,
Yeah. So, I mean, interest rates, they're one of the biggest factors as far as how it affects your payment goes. So especially you'll see this if people are on the edge of qualifying, like their debt to income ratios. So just they're just kind of on the edge of being able to qualify. If rates go up, you can see them being pushed out of being able to even qualify at all.
mm-hmm.
Or depending on the loan type, there's just different scenarios that could happen. Like now you're at this percentage, which means now your mortgage insurance is going to be higher, which makes your payment overall higher. So there's a lot of different like scenarios depending on the loan program, but I would say definitely like a change in rates can have a huge impact on qualifying in general and your payment and where your payment will be.
So walk me through how you navigate that with your clients. Do you tell them to wait? Do you tell them to go ahead and work on a few more things? Like, how do you help guide them as far
Yeah.
as?
I think it's kind of a case by case thing. I do think that it's important to go over all the options. So I would say if you were my client and rates went up, then I would say, here's your options. Either A, we need to do XYZ, you need to pay this down, you need to come in with this much more. We need to get this much in seller credit. So I'm going to try to come up with different ways so that you have options. So if you want to purchase now, this is what that looks like. If you want to wait, these are the things that you need to work on. If they're already in contract, then it's like, okay, we need to move a little faster. We got to find a solution that can work quickly. If you're out just shopping and you have a pre-approval, and let's say that you're pre-approved for 400,000, but now rates went up, then I'm going to reach out to you and say, hey, I know you're shopping. I took a look at this again. You probably want to look in this range instead. So if you're out shopping, I would reach out to you and just say, hey, just so you know, rates went up. This is kind of where we're at now. And then in the other cases, it would just be more of like a case by case of laying out the options. And you, as a buyer, can decide like, hey, I actually can't pay down these three things to make this work with the higher rate. So I think I would rather wait. So I think once you have the options, you as the buyer can kind of make a decision that works best for you.
I like that. Okay, good. Lots of options. And I love that you're able to determine based on scenario. So, okay,
Yeah.
great. So what is the weirdest myth you've heard about how interest rates are determined?
Oh gosh. People have a lot of ideas on that. I think the funniest one to me is like people think that each individual lender determines like the rate, but that's not really the case. There's a lot of factors involved. So obviously rates will be different from lender to lender. They could vary. Most of the time they're pretty much in the same ballpark, but I think that's the funniest one. People think that like each company determines like the rate for their loan, which is not the case.
So, okay. So as far as like fees, I know a lot of buyers, whenever they come to me as well, they talk about fees. Like, could you do a quick rundown or breakdown of fees?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that buyers are most surprised by are closing costs just in general, because you're not, if you haven't bought a house before, you're not really even thinking of that. You're just thinking like, how much do I need to come in with for a down payment? So then when you
Mm-hmm.
say like, oh, there's closing costs as well, they're like, wait, what? Like, what does that even mean? So closing costs, the majority of closing costs are going to come from the title company. There are, as far as like on the lending side, you'll see things like what's called an origination fee, and that's each lender will have their own like fee. So for example, at cross country, our origination fee bundles in the application fee, a whole bunch of like fees are just all bundled into one line so that it's not broken out. Other companies are going to charge an origination fee, a credit report fee, like they break down a bunch of like different fees. So some are bundled, some are not. And then the rest of them are going to come from the title company. So that's going to be like transfer taxes. So when you are purchasing a house, the seller is transferring that house over to you. So now there's taxes on that for the county and things like that. You establish what's called an escrow account. So the
Yeah.
escrow account is going to be where we take a portion of your payment, and your home. So for example, your payment's going to include principal, interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA, if that, you would pay that separately, but for qualifying purposes. So homeowners insurance and property taxes, we take a certain amount of those and put it in an escrow account so that we as the lender will pay property taxes and homeowners insurance out of your escrow account and when it's due, so that you as the buyer don't have to do that. So for example, if you bought in November and now your homeowners insurance is up, we take the money out of your escrow account and we pay that premium for that policy for that year in full out of the portion that's being taken out. So also in your closing costs, we're establishing an escrow account for you so that you're not behind on it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all the information. And I know that's one thing, like a lot of people are just kind of, wondering as well, like, what's the breakdown? It's kind of a bit overwhelming sometimes, right?
Yeah,
They're like, well, what do I need to pay?
for sure.
And
The
how?
nice Yeah, and the nice thing is like right now, you can get like seller credits to help with some of the closing costs, so
Yeah.
that's nice. So yeah, that's an option for right now in a lot of cases.
And is that something you help negotiate or talk through with the clients with?
For sure. So when I like talk to a borrower, I and an agent and their buyer's agent, I'm like, hey, because this comes down to like their buyer's agent negotiating that for them, right? So
Hmm.
typically, one misconception that people have is, let's say that there's a house for 500,000 and you want to ask for a $15,000 price reduction and get the house for 485. Most people think that that would be the better option, but in a lot of cases, it's actually better to get $15,000 to go towards your closing costs, because then it will cover all those costs that we talked about.
Hmm.
Plus, you can buy your interest rate down. And as we talked about earlier, interest rate is one of the biggest factors when it comes to your payment. So if you're looking for a lower payment, if that's your goal, a lot of times asking for seller credits as opposed to a price reduction makes more sense. So I'll just kind of spell that out for the borrower. I'll send them a side by side of if they went in at 485 or if they asked for the 15K in seller credit, so they can see how it affects their payment. And then I just communicate that to the agent and try to see like what we can like go in and ask for.
Yeah, no, that's so huge. I love that. As far as, using that funds towards, closing costs.
Yeah.
And also rate buy down. So
Mm-hmm.
like love that option. And I love that you're able to walk them through it and see like, okay, let's look at a bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, as far as reputation with lender, picking your lender, talk about how your communication style and how you really, because a lot of times that gets overlooked. So kind of explain like how crucial or important it is to definitely see that when picking a lender.
Yeah. So I mean, like we had said at the beginning of the call, who you work with really matters.
Yeah.
So and you had asked me what are the qualities that you want. You want someone that's honest, you want someone that's available, and someone that's going to communicate. So not to throw like some online lenders under the bus, but like a lot of people will see these ads on TV like, "Oh, if I go to this, like they're offering a 2.99." A lot of times it's like a bait and switch, you know. But um I've found that like a lot of those online lenders that work for basically like in a big call center that's not like a direct line of communication. So if you or your agent has a question, they're basically calling a 1-800 number trying to get a hold of someone who doesn't know anything about the file to go in and try to get answers for you, as opposed to, okay, you have a local person who knows what they're talking about. You have a direct phone number, email, so that communication stuff really does matter, because when let's say you're writing an offer,
Hmm.
there might be multiple offers, so you need to move fast. You need to have a competitive offer. You want to have a good reputation so that the more loans that you start doing, an agent sees your name and they're like, oh, I know that that person does a good job. And you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff matters. But the communication part is really, really important. The urgency, being able to have a direct line of communication to someone. Um, yeah, I think that that stuff really matters. And then once you're in contract, if you have questions or if something needs to get taken care of, you want to be able to reach out to that person directly, someone that's going to be available and knows your file and knows exactly what's happening, where it's at in the process, so that they can answer things quickly, efficiently. It doesn't hold anything up. You can close on time. There's not any issues with that.
Love it. No, I was working with a buyer that got with a out of state lender and did not disclose like a lot of things. Like they thought they were getting like a grant, but it wasn't a grant. And I was like, so definitely someone that's available, honest, and like you,
Yeah.
you're local. You're a great communicator. So I love that. What's a red flag to watch out when choosing a lender?
I would say if there's a lender that's super pushy, um,
Mm,
or like you can just tell that they're just trying to push you into something so that they can get a paycheck. I know
yeah,
it sounds really bad, but there are people out there that are like that. I feel like this is your purchase. You should feel totally comfortable with doing this. You shouldn't have like pressure from me as a lender trying to push you into a certain loan option or into a certain price point or anything like that. So I just like to lay out the options and let you and educate you as a buyer on what those options are, why this makes sense over this, and what the pros and cons are, and let you kind of lead where you want to go based off of that information instead of me pushing something down your throat like you need this, you need this. Oh, you need like I just think that if someone's really really pushy as a lender, it's kind of
red
a red
flag.
flag. Yeah.
No, I like
Yeah.
that. Okay. So if you could give one pro tip to speed up the closing process, what would it be?
To speed up closing process, I would say you want to have your ducks in a row. And what I mean by that is when I do a pre-approval, I'm going to ask you for your pay stubs, for your bank statements, for your W-2s. I'm going to ask you for stuff up front, which yes, it's a little bit more work up front, but that way when you go and you're showing someone a house, then you know that you're showing them something that's in their price range that they're qualified for. So if they do like it, they can offer on it, as opposed to going and seeing $1 million house when they qualify for 500, and now of course they're in love with the $1 million house but they actually don't qualify for it.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that before, so I think a good pre-approval matters.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not just gonna slap a pre-approval letter, here you go, you can have it. I'm gonna do my due diligence before to make sure that you're qualified, that you are pre-approved, you have a price range narrowed down. If you So that like really matters. So I would say just having your ducks in a row, and expect that your lenders, they're gonna ask for pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, that type of. Those would be the
Mhm.
three main things I would say that I typically am asking for.
Perfect. Because for any buyers out there, I definitely highly encourage you guys to start the pre approval process early than later, and then that way it's a smoother process. You guys are getting your ducks in a row, like you said. So if you guys are looking for a lender, we have Kristen over here. You guys can drop in the comments if you guys have any questions or any topics that you guys would want to, you know, for you want us to discuss later on a live.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you have like best way to contact you, Kristen? Or
Yeah, so I'm pretty much available anyway, whether it's my email, my phone number, whatever, and I can put that below too if anyone has questions. To reach out, I respond to text, call, email, whatever. I'll respond to any of it. But yeah, I can put that below so that if anyone has questions, they can reach out, and I'll put my website too.
yay! Well, thank you, Kristen. You've been so amazing. And, hopefully our next one, we can definitely dive in onto a few more things. I know buyers are curious now. People are looking. It is the holidays, so I'm sure a lot more are going to be, asking questions after the holidays as well. So yeah, we'll get you back on live in the next couple weeks, and we can chat away and answer a few more questions.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
No problem.